Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Man United Agenda. And it is Friday. It's Friday, and it's transfer
Yeah.
day. It's Friday, and I'm joined as always by Rebel on the transfer talk. And boys and girls, have we got lots for you to talk about today? So, everyone, if you liking the content, please like, share, and subscribe to the Man United Agenda. And welcome to Man United Transfer Show. Yes, everyone, welcome. It is Friday, and I'm joined by Rebel. Hello, Rebel. How are you doing this Friday morning?
Good morning, Solo. I got a nice strong cup of black coffee next to me to wake me up because there is a lot going on in the world of Manchester United.
And at the moment, we would think, at the moment, we all thought like transfer windows opening, we're going to get this player, we're going to get that player. Everyone wants to come to us. We've been linked with hundreds of players in this January transfer window, but all it is, it's the what the shamble and everything that's happening behind the scene at Old Trafford. Whether or not they're true, we're not sure. But listen, we're only here to tell the story from other stories as well. So, Rebel, it's Friday.
Yes,
First
Friday.
topic is my boy, Paul Pogba.
Yeah. Oof. Hot potato, this one, if you ask me. No, because what he's being offered is mouth-watering. That contract of, let's say it slowly, £500,000 per week is the reported contract offer to keep him away from making a free transfer. £500,000. Without doing any more than just looking at that figure Solo, you're kind of going, wow, we're making him
Yeah.
one of the best paid players in the world if we do that.
The problem for me is it a case that we haven't learned from our first mistake with the piano player? I like to call him piano player. I don't ever like to call his name because I just thought to myself that was a big rip-off, absolute big rip-off. You got David De Gea at the moment who's sitting on, I think, 370k.
Yeah.
Now, David De Gea is a very special player. But then if you go down now and you look at sort of like Paul Pogba's stats, I know I'm a stat person, but a lot of people always say, oh, you can't really look at stats to engage. It's all about eye tests, looking at the eye and seeing what's out there. But Paul Pogba has made 146 appearances with 28 goals, win percentage is 80%, and he lost like 25 games for Man United. So with 28 goals per matches is 0.19 as a midfield player. Headed
No.
goal only 4. Goals with right feet, you're looking at 21. Goals with his left is 3. Also within that as well, you got to think he scored 7 penalties as well with those stats as well. His shooting accuracy, which again 35% shooting accuracy for a player of Paul Pogba's caliber.
Absolutely. Actually, I cannot even think of one of his headed goals straight off the bat. It was, remember that day when he dragged us kicking and screaming back into that Manchester City game?
The Man City game. But the thing for me is, most of the games I can remember Paul Pogba for, if any game I can remember him, it's that one. That's the only game that he's shine. But like I said, Paul Pogba is a world-class player. And I still will say he's a world-class player. But is he a world-class player for Manchester United? I'm not sure about that. And the money that's been sort of triggered at the moment around, would it be a good deal in giving him this new bumper contract? Because there's a contract been sitting on the table since June last year, I believe. And I think it was only a couple of, I'll say couple, I think it was like 400k a week it was, which is slightly higher than, say, De Gea.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Ronaldo is coming, and Ronaldo is sitting on a more big bumper contract. Ronaldo's older than what Pogba is. But right now, for me, giving Pogba that big bumper deal, that's not going to solve the issue at the moment around the club.
I agree with you, Solo. And I expressed my problems with the Ronaldo contract 2 days ago on our show. But at the same time, it's Ronaldo. But I look at this and I see a big, big problem with it. And when you talk about the piano player, what I remember happening after that contract was every single player knocked on the door with their hand out, with their agent behind them looking for more money. In the stats that you've read out, if you're looking at that and that production, and that, you haven't even mentioned the fact that he goes missing with injuries for half the year, which is
Yeah, he
another
does. He
big
does.
problem. Bruno Fernandes is going to be looking at that kind of going, sorry, what? You're giving
Yes.
this, show me the money.
Yeah, and that's the issue with it, what you're saying, because it's like a merry-go-round, isn't it, really? You see this person, oh, well, he's doing this, so I need this, I need that, and then it keeps building, 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 and the momentum keeps building. Next thing you know, Jadon Sancho is probably give him a year or two, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, he's going to sit there and say, I want about 10K a year. Sorry, yeah, sort of like, 10 sort of. Should we go 10 or should we say about 600,000? We won't go that far. We go 600 because that's going to be the next stepping stone. And Man United right now is a laughing stock. We are a laughing stock right now.
Absolutely. Like, I think it goes back to something you said yesterday when we were discussing the clicks and all the problems in Manchester United. Is it a case now that player power and the ego of the player has gone beyond the value of playing for the shirt and the badge?
I believe it's lost. I think now these days, especially for Man United, because with the Glazer in charge, it's almost like they are trying to build in. You remember years ago with, I think, was it? Obviously, you got Real Madrid. Real Madrid was just built with superstar. And what happened with Real Madrid? It's same situation where they start falling apart. Now, look at Real Madrid. Real Madrid is in real bad trouble right now. But the problem for Man United is, at least Real Madrid probably came to terms and said, right, we're in trouble. We need to solve the issue now. The Glazers ain't going to solve nothing.
Absolutely. And I suppose, without giving away one of the topics that we'll be moving on to later, this whole Pogba situation also kind of interlinks for me with the whole Ronaldo saying, I got to wait and see who's going to be our new manager before I say I'm going to stay.
Player power. He's got more control around what's going on at the club. Now, I know obviously he's a legend, but is he part of the problem at the club? This is another thing, another show we got to ask ourselves. Is he part of the problem? Yep. Because he's come in. Yes, he's come in. And yes, there's division amongst players now at Manchester United. But at the same time, is it a case there's division at the club, or is it because the players have been lazy at the club?
Yeah.
These are the questions we've got to ask ourselves.
I suppose, absolutely. And most Manchester United fans are probably asking themselves that very same question as they are having their breakfast this morning. But I suppose what we have to look at really, with even taking out the eye-watering amount that Mr. Pogba is being offered, allegedly, is do we even want to keep him at the club, given what the stats that you've read out there, the fact that we invariably lose him for 2 to 3 months of the season with an injury, and we don't seem to see enough of what we know Paul Pogba can do on the pitch for Manchester United.
And like as I said, I like Pogba, and I'd love Pogba to succeed at Man United. But when you're looking at stats like Jules 1 is 1,042. But then when you look at Jules lost, you're looking at what 977.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not, it's not sort of what you look at in a player. And also, you got to remember as well, he does sulk, he does go missing. And I know we were all sitting there and going, oh, but, the modern day football, some players, not everyone want to smile when they're playing football. Not everyone wants to be chippy when they're playing football. They just go out and try to perform. But at the moment, is Paul Pogba giving 100%? Why are we going to give Paul Pogba? Is it going to be the mistake with Aubameyang at Arsenal, where they give him a bumper deal, and all of a sudden now it's very hard to get rid of the player?
Absolutely. And I suppose the other thing, and the scary thing when you mentioned about Jules last, is you must remember for a large period of time, Ole was playing him in the pivot.
Yep, there you go.
So he was a leaky faucet in the centre of our midfield.
But with Paul Pogba, when we got him from Juventus, obviously, look at the caliber of players he played with. He almost got a free reign at Juventus, didn't he? So that's probably why we signed him. But at Manchester United, you can't have a free reign because of the style and the system of play. Paul Pogba played majority of the time sort of on the left-hand side of the midfield when he played for Juventus. At Man United, he played in, like you said, double pivot. Yeah. The players around him hasn't got that mental sort of awareness of what's going on around them. They're not that great players. I've always stated it's like Jesse Lingard. I love Jesse Lingard, but I always say is that when you look at other teams and you play Paul Pogba with Jesse Lingard, and Paul Pogba is looking, oh my God, it's that Jesse Lingard I've got. When he was playing with big name players who were world class player at Juventus, and to come to Man United and playing alongside Jesse Lingard.
Yeah. Can I just say though, was that an admission that you've made about your boy Fred?
Yeah. Fred's stats is a lot better than Paul Pogba's.
And that's scary.
His stats is a lot better than Paul Pogba. But again, it's one of those ones where I keep saying football fans are fickle. All of us are probably fickle with it because a lot of people like to look on the eye test, and when the eye test tells you something from actual what the physical stats are, it shows that Paul Pogba's stats to what Fred's stats is. You might as well start Fred week in, week out. But Absolutely. Yet no one wants to hear about Fred. If Fred make one mistake in a game, everyone single Fred out. But if Paul Pogba make one mistake in a game, no one single him out at all.
Absolutely. I suppose before we hit the next big topic, I have a few quick tidy up articles that I just give you and the people here in the chat the headlines of. We have continued links with Ruben Neves again this morning. Likewise, we have further links with that Borussia Dortmund centre-back that we're looking to sign on a Bosman. Anthony Martial is believed to be monitored by Newcastle now because they are keen to get in a striker following the injury to Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
And there's a very interesting piece in the Manchester Evening News. I won't go into it, but for anyone that wants to have a read of it, it is quite an interesting one. It highlights possibly that Mike Phelan is a symbol of what is wrong currently in Manchester United. And finally, as well, Andy Mitten today published an article on Phil Jones, and I think, especially for OMONDI, this would be a very good read for him.
I love it. Absolutely love it. See, people are talking. Never's going to help us. We need NDD, and this is the thing. You see, I said the other day on the show when we were talking about players that we're selling and sort of what we're going to keep, and I mentioned NDD, and our Yankee Talk Smack don't agree with what I was saying. Get rid of Fred and bring NDD in. But this is the issue when you look at football fans and you think to yourself, a lot of people sit there and go, eye test. They may watch that person once or twice and they'll be like, oh, no, he's no good for us. But if you're consistently watching a player and you look and see how he's performing, anyone would know NDD probably the right choice for us to come in. Neves, for me, Neves is a great player, but Neves is very injury prone as well. So is there a point in bringing Neves in when you got Paul Pogba as well, you got Neves, you've got who else would be constantly injured? Well, technically, it's only going to be those two that's going to be constantly injured, isn't it?
I'm just going to draw your attention to that comment, Solo. It's regarding Ndidi.
Yep, gone.
Solo, he has the worst passing stats of a defensive midfielder in the last 10 years.
Yep. Okay. Bath time beat you to it.
No, but that's...
was that the comment? That's the comment you're reading, yeah. The reason Leicester can... you know what? I just like NDD. I just think his his attitude. He's got positive attitude. I can see how he breaks up play. His willingness to get back. I know Fred does sort of do that at Man United, but at the same time, Fred's 28. NDD is only 25 years old.
Yeah.
So there's still room for improvement for NDD under the right coach.
Or is it a case that we should hold our powder and identify the ideal player? Because surely with all the options that have been mentioned, including some former RB Leipzig players that worked, some current RB Leipzig players that worked under Rangnick previously are being mentioned. The likes of the Mali international Khedira. Obviously, he's away at the moment on his international duty, but you could get something done before the end of January with him, I would imagine.
Yeah. Another one from, we're going to go through all the comments anyway, but there's one or two I'm spotting where I'm looking at the moment, and it's bath time with Fred had better ball control than passing than Ndidi. Yeah, I do get that bath time. It pained me the other day to put him up on this slab. It did pain me because if everyone knows me well enough, I love Fred. I love it, but I think there's time and a place now for certain players at Manchester United to leave.
Absolutely.
I honestly believe so.
Actually, speaking of comments, and again, this one now is very much for a Monday. If you're watching Monday, good morning, big man. Zagadou is just a left-footed version of Maguire. No need for him. Get him out of here.
Oh, it's I don't know, with all these reports and all these the transfer as well at Man United. Before I think we buy any players, my whole thing is get rid of the problems at the club first. If we
Yeah.
don't sign anyone in January, just don't sign anyone in January. Just get rid of the dead wood at the moment within a club. Get rid of the problems and then bring the players in, because when you bring in new players in, they become part of the problems.
Absolutely. And actually, as you mentioned that, there was an interesting opinion piece published today as well on the problems that actually are presented at Manchester United. And apparently Rangnick is concerned that the amount of time that he has left this season, he will not get all the problems fixed. But I suppose all we can hope as fans is that he gets enough of them fixed, that there's a solid base to start on next season. Because we don't want to be in the same, we need to fix A, B, C, D of the fundamentals out of the gate next season.
Yes. And this is the issue with it, though. The problem is we are going to be linked with loads of players. We will. There's no doubt about it. Whether or not we'll go out and get these players, that's another story. It's Manchester United. It takes sort of takes us to get a deal done. Takes us 5-6 months to get a deal done. So I can't see something's happening in January. I think most of the signings probably will take place in the summer. But on the summer, if there's still 17 players who wants to leave the club, let's get rid of those 17 players and then find out who and what we have left and the club to react to it.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely. I suppose just one more of the shorter topics that I want to touch on before we get to, I suppose, our dual main topic of the day, which is the Ronaldo and manager situation at Old Trafford. There has been a report about Donny van der Beek, and that apparently Ralph Rangnick shares the viewpoint of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with regard to the player, that there isn't enough about him for to be a starting 11 player in the Premier League. What do you think of that, Solo?
You know what? We've been in Donny's corner for a long time, haven't we? We sort of like been looking around, saying why isn't he playing, feeling sorry for Donny van der Beek. And I know talk always say about application, and it's right. It's about your application. It's about how you do training. It's about how you. It's like me going to work and sort of not giving it my 100%. Within a certain period of time, I'm not going to have a job. So I have to go in, week out, day in, day out, and I have to perform at the highest level to keep my job. So if he's not going in training and his head's down, part of the reason as well why his head's down, it could be, is because he wanted to move to Everton and it fell through. Ole promised him something and it fell through. So he's then sitting there going, well, what's the point of me trying?
Yeah,
that's not the right attitude to have. But you're going to feel a bit dejected, aren't you? You're going to feel a bit, yeah, I don't really want to be here. So why am I forcing to train? Why am I training? I might just turn up and then come summertime, I know I'm going.
True.
But he hasn't got an agent, has he?
I suppose the other thing that was mentioned in that article, the key attribute that they say is lacking for English top flight is the physicality.
Yes. But again, remember when we first got Vidic and Evra, it was the same thing with them. We played Man City and they got rugged. They got run rugged, didn't they? And it's almost like Ferguson pulled them away from everything. And then within say a month or two, they had off garden leave apparently, and they came back different players. So with that, it can work. It can work. He can sit there right now. As much as we are having stories that's leaking, and I honestly think Man United got someone in there who works in the PR who's basically leaking story left, right, and centre. Because that then helped them with the stock market.
Interesting enough, though, mentioning the physicality, and I'm going to talk about one of our beloved own, Mr. Marcus Rashford. When he came back from his period of injury and during his recovery, he put on pounds of muscle. You could see that he was absolutely shredded when he came back.
Yes.
But I don't know about you, but does it feel like there was a little fraction of quickness taken away from his running game. He seems to be getting caught more by the pacey wing backs that you might have expected him to be beating to the ball. Is the muscle slowing him down? Because we had this problem with Lukaku where Mourinho made him into a big physical brute, but then he did not get the pace to match that he needed to beat the defenders to create the chances.
And yeah, I agree with you. I agree there 100% with you. He looks a bit more leaner, doesn't he, coming back? He always had big legs as well. So basically, now you look at him and it's almost like his legs look like he's almost like a bodybuilder now, doesn't it? It looks proper, hench. But with it, it does slow you down. It does slow you down. I used to run 100 meters before in my days as well. And basically, when I used to go to the gym, literally, it slows you down a bit. But at the same time, it's about the training. It's about getting the application right. And you pace it doesn't go, even if you're in the gym pushing the weights, it doesn't really and truly go. It does come back around, but it's just the application. It's about pushing yourself, running, because you got to remember all athletes, like 100 meter sprinters, they're huge, they're hench, but they've got the speed.
Absolutely.
They've got the speed. So for me, it's all about application. It's all about sitting there and pushing yourself. Marcus Rashford right now, again, is another player. Everyone's going to say, oh my God, you like every single player at Man United. It's because I'm a United fan and I want all our players to succeed. I want them all to do so well at Manchester United. But at the same time, it's about supporting it. But Marcus Rashford right now doesn't look like he's interested or even enjoying football. I watched him. He came on against Wolves, head down, and, then the game before that, he was just running in traffic, running in trouble. There's times where he could release the ball, but he's just running in troubles all the time.
Absolutely. I suppose so. Look, we've gone through the more minor articles a bit now, and that relieves us with the gargantuan one, the talisman of Manchester United, as he would have been at the time when he was with us when Fergie was still in charge. Cristiano Ronaldo is a man that's believed to have said that, look, if I don't like the new manager that you appoint in the summer, or if Ralph decides he's staying or whatever, I will then take my own counsel and decide whether or not I want to be here for the next season. This is coupled with a believed leak that the reason why Manchester United didn't go for Antonio Conte after our humbling to Liverpool was that they did not like the level of micromanagement that they would have had to have given up should they have appointed him. But at the same time, you contrast that they're giving consultancy powers to Ralph Rangnick. So you'd have to imagine there's an element of falsehood to that, because they have, at least on paper, given up a significant amount of decision-making power to whatever this role that Ralph Rangnick is stepping into beyond his 6 months on the coaching side is going to be. And enter your boy, Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it. He is my favourite for the Manchester United job. I like him. I like his style. I do have an element, though, where obviously he's at PSG, but I don't think he actually picks the team in PSG, to be honest with you. I think Leonardo does that for him. But what he did at Tottenham, for what budget he had at Tottenham, I think he did a fantastic job. And also working with youngsters. Right now, I'd rather see most of these senior players not playing for the club and getting the youngsters on and getting the youngsters playing for the rest of the season, because these guys, they don't care about the badge. They don't care about the badge. And it upsets me. Against Wolves, what was it? I felt very, very upset. And for me, as a football fan, I don't normally sort of be tribal with football, but losing 1-0 and watching the performance, how we played, was absolutely embarrassing. And I think the worst point I've had this season so far is against Newcastle game.
Yeah.
I literally, I switched off Instagram, Facebook, I muted everything, because that's how low Man United got me that game. And with this whole thing with Poch coming in, we need to solve the issue in the background first before we bring in Poch in, because the problem is I don't know if Poch is strong enough to basically pull these guys together. That's my only concern.
Well, the thing with Poch is, you look at the team that he's in charge of now, a certain Paris Saint-Germain. He's got Messi, Mbappe, and a lot of other egos at that dressing room. So you'd imagine if he's mentally strong enough to deal with them, surely a puppy like Cristiano Ronaldo won't be an issue for him.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but the problem is Ronaldo is a legend at Manchester United, and you got to think anything Ronaldo say goes, really, doesn't it? At Man United at the moment, it seems.
That's true.
So
He is playing
Ronaldo
in.
will control. Ronaldo will control the change room. Ronaldo will control everything at Manchester United,
That
because
is
what we are doing as football fans, Ronaldo's a goat. Feed him, he will score a goal. But what about utilizing being a team? That's what I've seen Manchester United lost, the identity of being a team. At the moment, we're all individual players, not a team, not a collective. The only person who I think and I believe utilize and play as a team or try to get involved in everything is my boy Fred. If there's a little
Yeah.
scrap, Fred's there. And if Fred's there for everything. But yet he gets critiqued for everything.
Actually, that is the one thing I remember about the Manchester United teams of old. Is I remember, I think Gary Neville was being picked on by a certain Mr. Vieira in the tunnel coming out.
Roy
And
Keane.
Roy Keane said, "Come here and pick on someone your own size." Even though Roy Keane was probably about the same size as Neville at the time, but he was a bigger, badder wolf mentally.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing with it at the moment, though. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. And anyone who takes the Manchester United job, it's not the easiest job in world football. It's going to be the hardest, because you're always going to be judged on Sir Alex Ferguson. That's all you're going to be judged. And I have said, and I keep saying it to everyone, since Ferguson's left and retired, football has changed, completely changed.
I'm going to ask a question, actually. And it pains me to ask this question. Ferguson is obviously a big looming shadow in the history of our club. Much loved, and is forever going to be in the legend that is Manchester United. He moved upstairs and is involved in board-related issues, is involved in consulting with whatever's going on with the Glazers, etc. But could you ask the question that him still even being in the shadows at Old Trafford is a big shadow and a big, big intimidating factor for even the best of the current crop of managers when they enter and take the keys of Old Trafford?
I agree with you there. I totally agree with you. I think it is a problem with him being at the club, but it's a club that he's helped build, and he still think he needs to be around it. But that's the biggest problem there, because he did it with David Moyes as well, didn't he? He was
The
around
chosen one.
the chosen one. He was around David Moyes. Then he was around. He was also around LVG when he came in as well. So he's always around. He's around even more so when Solskjaer was there. Apparently, he was going to Carrington to get a suit fitted in it at Carrington training.
We
If you
should have sent
believe
him
that,
to
you
you.
believe anything. Yeah, you believe that, you believe anything at all, really. If you about suit fitting, he should come to my shop. I'll fit him up. Don't worry. So it's a tough one. It's a hard one, and it's a tough pill to swallow at the moment at Man United. And every day at the moment, practically, say 12 o'clock now, there's going to be a brand new story that's flying around.
Absolutely. And I suppose this brings me to one other concerning point I have with Manchester United. And as you said, the things are going wrong in the background and making sure that we make the right appointments. Newcastle United, a team that are pretty much fighting for relegation, have already confirmed their first sign this morning. That is the right back, Mr. Trippier. We have known for quite a long time that we have a problem in the centre midfield. Now, I know we have problems elsewhere in the field, but in particular, centre midfield. And I'm pretty sure an intelligent man like Ralph Rangnick knew straight away that he could not do the back end of the season and play any particular type of game plan that he's trying to execute, whether it's the 4-2-2-2 or whether he actually has a more long-term overarching plan to make us into a 4-3-3 or whatever system of play that is coming. We don't need to be anywhere near making a central midfield signing in January. An area where it's critical for going as far as we can in the Champions League, making sure that we get a European spot next year, because frankly, it would be absolutely unimaginable for us not to be in Europe, even if it is the bloody Europa League. Not that we want it, but we need to be in Europe. Manchester United is too big a club not to play in Europe. And yes, Newcastle, who have got brand new owners who are trying to get their acting gear, have managed to act and start improving their squad. Where's the disconnect at United that we haven't managed to move at that pace in areas that we knew long before that we could be talking to clubs about getting these players in January and only have to talk to the players themselves once the window opened?
Well, that's the issue you have, though. You said it there yourself, though, Rebel. It's for Man United, and I've said it earlier as well. We are so slow at acting quick. We're so slow at sort of doing deals. It takes us. Look how long it took for Jadon Sancho. I think the quickest transfer we've done is Ronaldo signing, and that's because he was going to Man City. That is the quickest transfer we've done. But right now, like you said, and I think Bath Time said it as well, this season, technically, it's not probably... A lot of people look at the midfield and blame the midfield. We need the midfield. We need cover in midfield. But when the defenders are all over the place, when you centre forwards, not even centre forwards, but when your wide players or your players that played up top, not really trying, you got a problem. But then it's evident then everyone's going to be blaming the midfield, because everyone's saying, oh, the midfield should have done this, the midfield should have done that. But then if there's a disjoint between sort of the midfield and the defence, and then from the midfield to the centre players, forward players, that's our issue. Newcastle, like you said now, I've gone out and signed a player that we were interested in. And also, don't forget, Atletico wanted something like 35 million for him. Newcastle has only paid 12 million or something like that for him.
Yeah. Actually, you raise an interesting point there. In the summer, I think it was the case that Atleti had absolutely no interest whatsoever in making a deal for Kieran Trippier. I think since then, they probably might have seen something in their youth squad that's kind of saying, well, we're probably going to be moving Trippier out of here soon anyway, because so-and-so is looking like he's going to grab hold of the jersey. Trippier might have said, look, I'm X age, I want to go home. You could do a deal for me here in January, and they're probably thinking, do you know what? This makes sense. We got a decent amount of money for him off Newcastle. Away with you.
Yeah. 6 in the comments, guys. Hit that like. Let's get over 20. We're on 14 at the moment. Get over 20. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button.
By the way, not Manchester United news, but a guy that was a thorn in our sides has returned to the Premier League with Aston Villa, and we might
Philip Coutinho. Yep, just signed for thingy. Again, people are doing deals. Again, someone raised that question: will we take him at Man United? He's an ex-Liverpool. You don't really care about whether or not he's a legend Liverpool, not a legend Liverpool. Liverpool fans don't even look at him as a legend because he won it out of Liverpool. But he could have been a half-decent signing for us, really, couldn't he?
He really could have, like, as you say,
30 or 31. So yeah.
But actually, if you're looking at Barcelona players, if you said take a midfielder from there, I want De Jong.
That's who I'd love to have. We did a show earlier on where we were linked with De Jong, but now it's all gone off the boil, and it's problems after problems at Manchester United right now. Rebel, should we go through some of these comments, because we have got quite a lot of comments, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
And by the way, I'm off today.
Yeah, he's off. I don't start work until 10, so I have to keep an eye on the clock. We have a bit of time yet, but Steve Fletcher, he said our deal making is ridiculously slow. Bad time. True. Okay, let's pick up this one. The squad is massively bloated. We need to clear out first and have our permanent manager locked in before we can spend major
I agree.
money.
100% there. 100% last time.
That is a two-pronged problem, and I'm going to actually ask Bat Time for his views on this as well. Once I make the point, is obviously we need to clear out, but at the same time we need to protect what is happening this season, so that the permanent manager in the summer actually has an opportunity to compete on the major fronts next season. And to do that, we possibly need personnel, even at the expense of further increasing the bloated nature of our wage bill. Is it basically a bit of a poison chalice? You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. And if you do confirm a permanent manager now, you're pretty much saying to the players that will be staying with us, well, this guy is not going to be the gaffer next season. He's going to be up in some office somewhere and we're never going to see him again. Do we down tools and basically protect our interests for the rest of the season? So that is the point I put into bat time. And to you as well, Solo, if you want to pick it up while I grab another couple of comments from here.
Yeah, for me, I would say I agree. I'm agreeing with bath time. I still sit there and think it's going to be sort of a tough challenge for us, and I would say I'd rather lay the foundation down first with the new manager in place. Lay the manager down, and basically then you sit there and say, right, you're wrong. My issue at Manchester United is the wages some of these players are on that we've got to try and maneuver and get out of the club. That is the issue.
Gotcha.
It's a massive issue. It's a problem because if you look at even as Phil Jones, and again, I'm not going to sit there and bring Phil Jones up because he's came in and there was it up to stats, said that so far he's played one game in 21-22 season and his stats is already higher than every single player at the club. Just shows. Yeah. It just shows how bad these guys are. But at the same time, is it a case of they're playing for the badge or they don't really care? I don't think they're playing for the badge.
Gotcha. Ola Cunley says Fred and Greenwood can also hold their heads up high. De Gea, since he signed his contract, okay, I presume he's talking.
I agree with what he's saying. He's saying basically these players are probably the only players who can hold their head up high on performance basis. Which we've got OMONDI who believes Henderson should be Man United number one, but there's no way on earth Henderson should be number one when De Gea is in such a form of his life. Greenwood against Wolves, I thought he was our best player. And then Fred's been, everyone criticised Fred and the Mac Fred or whatever, but Fred's been doing all right this season.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I suppose if Henderson had been fit and present at the start of the season, he probably would have got his opportunity to nail down that jersey, and we might have been talking completely differently because we never would have seen the revival of David De Gea. But clearly, on the form that David De Gea is in, it's absolutely impossible to shift him from that goalkeeping spot. Yeah. Now, this one's for you, Solo. Steve Fletcher, Pochettino is having issues with Messi, so maybe he does have issues with dealing with these highbrow players.
Yeah, he will have. Yeah, he will have, and this is a problem. It's the sort of how it is. Like Messi's come, and the problem is Ronaldo has come to Man United, and it's the managers that's at fault, not the players. And this is where I was saying we've got there is someone on here on Man United agenda who subscribed to us, who literally follow Ronaldo's around. Everywhere Ronaldo go, he follow Ronaldo around. And he has been on here before saying he followed Ronaldo around. He's not a Man United fan, but he loved Ronaldo. And this is a problem with clubs. Messi is signed there, and Messi is, look at this great human, this great player, the world class, the GOAT, the second GOAT, not the first GOAT, the second GOAT, because Ronaldo is the first one. And idolize, the fans start idolizing. But people got to remember, he's only there for 2 years. And if Poch is having problems with him, Messi ain't been tearing up trees this season at PSG. Yeah. It just shows. And it's a farmer league as well. The French league is a farmer league. So does Messi really want to be at PSG? The answer is probably no. He wants to be at Barcelona, but because of money and his greed, he could have taken a pay cut, couldn't he? But he chose not to.
Actually, interesting that you mentioned that, and it's not Manchester United related, but I actually did do a bit of reading into that whole Messi situation because the fall of Barcelona actually upsets me a small bit because I do like the old traditional powerhouse teams and having a strong Champions League because those are the games that we as fans, of football fans, live for. We want to be playing the Barcelonas at the height of their powers. Even if Messi said, I will play for free he could not sign that contract because there is rules in the Spanish league that do not permit you to drop the contract below a specific percentage of the previous contract value. So the last one that he was prepared to sign was actually the minimum that they were allowed under Spanish law in the football governing authority to offer him. He could not drop it any lower. So unfortunately, it was a case that it was impossible for Barcelona to actually to retain Messi.
There's this Matthew as well. There's this coming from Matthew. One major problem at the club is there's too many egos and not enough character. Yeah, it's true. I agree. It's ego. Man United is full of ego players. And this is the problem years ago with England, what they were saying, when the rivalry between Man United and Liverpool, basically you had players sitting in a corner. Like you'll have the Man United players together, you'll have the Liverpool players together. And I bet you right now in the change room, you'll have all the Spanish-speaking players together, all the English players together. And, you know, people will be taking sides.
Very true.
And that's the problem. That's the split at the moment. Steve Fletcher as well.
Actually, can I just come in on that last point? It kind of led into something that I was saying, I think it was yesterday's show, about when Klopp identified Salah. Salah wasn't the top-level player in terms of the renown that he is now. He was kind of a guy that hadn't really quite caught it at Chelsea, went over to Italy, into Roma, started putting together some good performances, put himself in the shop wide enough to give himself a chance of coming back to England. Klopp said, okay, let's go. We'll give you a chance. And boom, we see what we see now today, an incredible player. Yeah. So I think that's the kind of player that probably United need to be targeting. Go out and find half a dozen of these type of players that are may or may not step up to the next level. But at least then you know that they will be playing for the badge instead of their own personal ego.
Yeah. Bath time as well. Henderson will out, and I said it all the time. Bath time. I watch Henderson, and all I hear is, "Oh, he commands his box. He comes out. He screams. He shouts." But the basic things I've seen him do is, if there's a shot coming in, he always fumble it, and he always fumble it in the path of the player to score a goal. So yeah. Then we've got this season is gone worse. Yeah, it's true. Bath time. It is. This one here, your eyesight's better than mine, Rebel. So I'll let
players come to Manchester United for a paycheck. Board only wants to buy players that can sell shirts. There's no passion in the team. Literally, social media. Again, you actually raised a very good point. MUFC labelled. Essentially, this is something I mentioned yesterday when we got Gumza from the Army TV, one of our broadcast partners in the FTB Sports group, the Arsenal supporters group. He asked us, is there problems at Manchester United in the playing squad? And I said, when I was looking at the issues at United, I saw issues at Woodward level, coaching level, and playing level. And the reason why we had a commercial ethos going into those deals was this was an accountant who's trained all his life to bring in income. Expenditure in your assets in order to make income never actually came into his equation. He, like when he saw Ronaldo, he saw basically a printing press of money.
Yeah.
Because anything that Ronaldo touches sells, essentially. Yeah. And this is where the hope that I have that we're going to start changing this trend is that the new guy, Mr. Arnold, that's coming in, has said, look, I will deal with all this commercial business and all that over here. We will be putting in a football team that will have their budget, and we will not basically influence to the majority of an extent what goes on in the footballing side. We know how much money that they're going to have to spend. We will have agreed how much money of transfers in that they will be allowed to keep and retain for to be pumped back in. We will let them do their coaching appointments, etc., obviously subject to normal approvals. So you're putting in a clear line, football and business. I think it'd be naive of any football fan at this stage to say that there's not a business element to the Premier League. The Premier League is a massive corporation that primarily is driven by owners who want to make money from the commercial side of football. But we as football fans will obviously want the football side to continue. And I think United hopefully will have that division in place now.
Okay. So I'm gonna hit you some comments. Just hit these ones up for me, Rebel, and then we'll just go because there's loads more. There's a few more
Sweet.
comments.
So Matt A United says we are blaming everyone for no reason. The actual problem is time. Times are bad for the club, and when times are bad, all things go wrong.
It's true. It's true. It is true. 13 in the chat. Can we get up to about 25 likes? We're on 18 at the moment.
Bad Time says to us, you hear the story about Messi, Pep, and the can of Coke. I think Messi's a bigger diva than Ronaldo. Ola Kunle says, behave solo, R9 is the modern day great. Forget Messi and then Messi, then Ronaldo. Before them, Pele, Maradona, and Van Basten. I'm actually just going to make one quick point for you to consider on that one, Ola Kunle. Think about the training and modern techniques that are available to the first three players and the other three players. Imagine them in the current day, and think about that when you're doing your order. 145 Nevin says,
Big up, welcome. He's been on the channel before.
Messi is nemesis for Poch, pathetic Barca bully. Ooh, strong language there. He also says, I used to think that PSG would be world beaters after such signs, but the thing is you can't have too many swords in one sheath. And I suppose the other thing, I made this point about Aston Villa actually to a friend of mine. If you're bringing too many players together, you're going to spend a lot of time trying to get those lads to knit. Mateo United, see you in 2040. That hurts. Nevin again says, I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a good manager. The way he got the guys going for a couple of years.
Okay, let's go Stephen, and then we're going to go bath time.
Stephen says, these are the types of players Ralph is good at identifying. Half a pool squad has at some time played for a club that Ralph was at. This is actually, this was a good point. And there was an article that Klopp was actually very concerned that his talent pool was going to be impinged on by Ralph. And Bat Time with Vaughan says, no one was disappointed by the Ronaldo signing. It also protects his legacy at the club and secures sales of the greatest goal scorer in history's merchandise. You can't blame any club for doing it. That is true.
And then once a blue moon.
This window is mental. That is true.
Let's go to...
Akil says, Ronaldo has been the best thing to happen to this club recently. His signing just exposed those players with awful mentality for what they are. I think Ranić has to get rid of them one by one. That is also an interesting point. There is a school of thought that Ronaldo has the ethos that he wants higher levels of training. So maybe it's not Ronaldo that's complaining about Ranić's wish to do 3 training sessions a day and the players that are around him.
Okay. Guys, I'm Solo7. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for all your comments and for everyone that's hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. And we've got Rebel. And we shall be back very soon, guys. But appreciate everything. And from us, Rebel has got to go to work. I'm going to have a very chill day today. And have a good day, guys. And be safe. Thank you all for watching.
Good day.
Good day.